Kevin Curtis Durkin. I'm a senior theater major. I started in 6th grade. I did my first show, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. I got the smallest part in the absolute worst theater known to mankind. It was something that was actually very entertaining and got my mind off of other projects that were going on in my life, other aspects. For example, my brother passed away when I was in 5th grade. I was 11 years old and first time I ever knew what death really was. So the year after that, I decided that I wanted to try out for the musical. We just sit there and we watch the television every morning because they would do announcements, and I looked at it and said, I want to do that. I sang the song from Aladdin, King of Thieves, or whatever the hell it was, and I got in, and then I had fun, and I enjoyed it. It was an escape. I got to be someone else, so I went out for the next one, and I went out for the one after that, and the one after that, and eventually I'm now sitting here. So it wasn't necessarily something that I decided that I wanted to keep doing. It was just something that I just kept doing because I kept getting in. What actually happened is I woke up one day and I decided that the only thing that actually made me happy anymore was theater. So I decided to stick with that. My teacher, before I left into the big wide world, like collegiate atmosphere, whatever you want to call it, flat out told me I was going to starve and fail. And as many people know, right before you go to do auditions or anything like that's exactly what pumps you up for it. So I looked at her and I went, okay, and it lowered where I was going because I didn't think I could get in anywhere. And I got into 3 different schools: Randolph-Macon in Ashland, Virginia, Elizabethtown, which is only about an hour at the most, maybe 45 minutes from here, and York. And I was going to go to Elizabethtown. I really liked it. I really wanted to go. And then I saw what was then the C-Pack and was now the W-Pack stage. And I sat there and looked at it, and I sat in one of the seats, and I said this was it. This is where I wanted to go. I wanted to be on that stage. First show I auditioned for was Cinderella Waltz by Don Nigro. I was cast as Zed the Village Idiot. I could not speak. My character stuttered, and only when he was drunk was he able to actually say complete sentences. I was just hoping I would get a break. I knew no one here. I kind of met some people, but I didn't remember who they were by the time I got here. The way New Student Days were back then was a little differently than now. So I walked into the Perko Playpen Theater to audition. And I wore a dress shirt because I didn't know what else to wear. So I didn't know how it was done here. I don't know how to relate to people. I'm not good at it. I need a playwright to tell me how to relate to people. And that's how I relate. I'm better with just talking through that. I'm coarse, I'm rigid, but I'm very quiet in my own way. I don't say a lot. I was nowhere near as professional as I am now. I wasn't expecting as much, and I didn't expect what freshman year would bring. I partied more, I was a little bit more laissez-faire on my schoolwork. Every single time I got a role, though, I worked my ass off for it because that I've never changed. I've always worked as hard as humanly possible for any role. But everything else about me wasn't the same. The next step was Jim McGee yelling at me to audition for his play, The Country Wife by William Wycherley. And I got cast in that one as well, as Sir Sparkish, or Lord Sparkish, or Mr. Sparkish, depending on what version. It was a Restoration period drama. I was with a fellow actor that was in Cinderella Waltz with me. His name is Ross Carmichael, and he was a huge influence on who I am now at York. The two of us would sit backstage during rehearsals for Cinderella Waltz, and one was in our scene. We would just sit and talk. Everyone else was a little bit more standoffish. at least in the very beginning. We all got along very well by the end of it, but in the beginning, and Ross started talking to me because we were one of 3 guys in the cast. He would just talk to me and talk me through different bits, talk me through different ways of going about something, how to dissect the script, and he really helped me get more in depth with my characters and help me move on. I played a character named Bernard Bunny, who was one half of a gay power couple. It was Steve Matthews playing the prosecutor. There was no name. I called him my little prosecutor. And I had to walk on in front of a crowded audience every night wearing nothing but a leopard print Speedo. I would say about that Monday night, that's when I was against it, because I realized, oh shit, this is real. I actually have to do this now. I was actually standing in the doorwell area right before I go on. I entered from downstage right. I would come on. My first line was, I don't know. Well, I don't know. And I would say it in this fashion so that people would immediately turn around and look at me. But right before I go on, every single time, I would have a small panic attack of, oh my God, I have to do this. Oh my God, I actually have to do this. Oh dear God, what did I do to myself? As much as I'll make fun of Bunny and how that show ruined me or whatever, it didn't. I'd say after Romance was when I started thinking of myself as a veteran a little bit, but that wasn't until junior year, in my opinion, that I really started believing myself as a veteran. I still knew I was young and I was still learning a lot. I was in Christmas Carol all 4 years. I'd say Ebenezer Scrooge was definitely number 2 greatest character I've ever played here. Because of the kids. Because walking out, being Scrooge, being able to make hundreds of little children laugh. Little children that might not be from the best areas, might not have what I have. And being able to just make them laugh was one of the greatest things to me. And I enjoyed every second I was on stage with those kids as the audience. I don't cry easy. Never have, even since I was little. I almost cried after my last performance as Scrooge.
Stop, close your eyes. Point to the person wearing
The difference between being a director and being an actor is the control aspect of it. You're able to pick the costumes, you're able to have an idea of what the set's going to be like and work with other people to get a product. As an actor, everything else is decided for you. And you're more worrying about yourself and the person across from you. Whether it be 1, 2, 3, 5 people. That's who you're worrying about. It's just the people in the scene. As a director, you get to watch and you get to make adjustments and you get to see what they're doing and help them get to where there's a compromise between the director and the actor on what it is you're trying to create for others. And you get to just sit and watch the process and sit and comment on the process and sit and figure out where exactly you want them to go from. And that to me was amazing. I never really directed before. I had a general idea. I started talking to Ken about senior year. And one that was always on my short list that I never thought I would actually consider doing was All My Sons by Arthur Miller. And I was sitting, actually roughly where I'm sitting right now. I was sitting and I was looking at the turf that was on the ground. And I remembered the stage directions in the very beginning of the play that described what the home of the Keller household was. And I looked at Ken and said, I want turf. The casting was difficult. We had a lot of people come out for the show. Logan Storm, who was my stage manager, and I sat through 47 different people. There were some where we knew immediately where we were going to call back, and there were others where we knew immediately that we were not going to call them back. But there was a huge pile of maybes. Rehearsals were some of the best times I've ever had at York College, Pennsylvania, for the reason that I learned more over the summer. And I knew what I wanted, and I knew what I was going to try and do was either going to crash and burn or be a success. And I decided to take that gamble. And I pushed my actors from day one. I I would get in their face, I would yell, I would say mean, horrible things to them. I would just keep on going, day in and day out. And I would try to always work as hard as my actors were working. And I knew it was working the moment we ran Act 3 for the first time. And it almost brought me to tears. Even though we never ran it before, we were still on script. We weren't even close to what the finished product was. I just knew that it would work and what I was trying to accomplish could get there, and that the cast I picked was right. Because I picked everyone that was good for the roles. I picked the perfect people in my opinion. But I also got very, very, very lucky in getting 9 people that wanted to work their asses off. And who came each day to rehearsal to work and wanted to put on the best show for me possible. And it was hard, it was difficult, it was a lot we did. There were hours upon hours upon hours of work that went into that. And I didn't even realize it until I was standing in front of the house by myself, just looking at everything that came together. I don't want to say I created, because I didn't. It was a lot of hard work from multiple talented people. The amount of success that most people give is based on how much is in your bank account. The way I look at it is how much fun am I still having. I know that the way my legacy will be is in 4 years, like everyone else, I'll be gone. As soon as the last person that knows my name goes, so will I. That's how it is for everyone. York Theater isn't about the people that were. It's about the students that are still there.